Welcome to Spectrum News at 12. I am Rita Inung, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu declares support for Constitution review. Ibaz meets Tinubu, EFCC chair in Aso Rock. Plus, Colombia's president calls U.S. attacks on alleged drug boats an act of tyranny. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed that his administration is committed to supporting constitutional reforms designed to strengthen Nigeria's democratic institutions. Speaking while declaring open a public hearing yesterday on the review of the 1999 Constitution in Abuja, Tinubu said the exercise was crucial for deepening governance. Represented by the Secretary of the Government to the Federation, George Akume, the President described the review as a process of a golden opportunity to entrench good governance, inclusivity, and sustainable development. Tinubu also commended the House of Representatives Committee on Constitution Review, chaired by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu, for his efforts. He added that the review was consistent with the objectives of his renewed hope agenda. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has aligned with the United Kingdom, France, Canada, Australia, Portugal and other countries calling for the recognition of the Palestinian state. In his address at the United Nations General Assembly's 80th session in New York, United States, Tinubu insisted that a two-state solution remains the most dignified path to ending the protracted war between Palestine and Israel in the Middle East. Represented by his vice, Kashim Shettima, President Tinubu also renewed its bid for a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council as a wider process of institutional reforms, citing the country's growing population and its status as a stabilizing force in regional security and a consistent partner in global peacekeeping efforts. This is even as South African President Cyril Ramaphosa called for an end to trade weaponization, saying that the policy volatility was destabilizing the global economy. And in the meantime, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has conferred national honors of the Commander of the Order of the Niger posthumously on the former Ogoni leaders, Albert Bade, Edward Kobani, Theophilus Orage, and Samuel Orage, popularly known as the Ogoni Four. He announced this when he received the report of the Ogoni Consultation Committee at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The President also enjoined the people of Ogoni land to embrace reconciliation and unity after decades of division. He assured stakeholders that his administration would support Ogoni land's journey towards peace, environmental remediation, and economic revival, while also facilitating the return of oil exploration to the area. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed the National Security Advisor, NSA, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, to immediately commence engagements with the National Nigerian Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC Limited, Ogoni communities in Rivers State, and other stakeholders for the resumption of oil production. Tinubu gave the order while receiving the report of the Presidential Committee on the Ogoni consultations, chaired by the former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Don Baridam, at the State House, Abuja. The delegation was led by Governor Siminalayi Fubara. And in this next report, Vice President Kashim Shettima has said that Nigeria is targeting annual economic growth of no less than 7%. He said the anticipated growth will be anchored on macroeconomic stability, improved productivity and strategic investments in infrastructure, healthcare, agriculture and transportation. Shettima also expressed the optimism during his bilateral engagements with the Namibian delegation on the sidelines of the 80th United Nations General Assembly in New York, United States. He also called for a stronger relation between Nigeria and Namibia. Shettima, who is representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the global event, said Nigeria's growth ambitions were backed by reforms under the Renewed Hope agenda. Meanwhile, the statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President Stanley Nkwocha, said Shettima welcomed the President of Namibia, Netumbo Nandi Ndi-Tibias, and his visit to President Tinubu in Nigeria. Away from that, the federal government has unveiled the official theme for the 2025 Independence Day celebrations. A statement by the Director, Information and Public Relations in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, OSGF, Segun Imohosen, stated that the theme for Nigeria at 65 is all hands on deck for a greater nation. Imohosen noted that the theme indicates the need for unity, collaboration and patriotism amongst Nigerian institutions, the private sector, civil society and citizens to advance national peace, prosperity and progress. He explained that the choice of the theme reflects Nigeria's resilience since independence in 1960, stressing the importance of consolidating past achievements while pursuing loftier goals under the Renewed Hope agenda. According to him, government agencies and partners are expected to align their programs with the anniversary theme to ensure its message resonates across all spheres of national life. In a separate development, the immediate past River State Administrator, Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibaz, retired, was in Aso Rock, where he was received by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in company with the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, and the Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ola Olukoyede. Ibaz, who bowed out as the Rivers Administration on September 17th, after spending 6 months in the saddle, arrived at the State House at about 6 p.m. and was ushered into the meeting by Edun and Olukoyede. The meeting comes 3 days after the erstwhile sole administrator rejected calls by the River State House of Assembly to probe spendings during his 6-month watch. Details of the meeting were not made public at the time of the filing of this report, although one source close to the president confirmed that Ibaz's appearance is connected to his 6-month stewardship in the oil-rich state. When contacted for comments, media aide to the former River State Administrator, Hector Ibikiwobo, said he was not aware of the meeting. And back here, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has commended Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino's remarkable leadership and development achievements, highlighted by the commissioning of the 17.33 kilometers of road in Ika local government area as part of activities marking the state's 38th anniversary celebrations. At the commissioning of the 15.8 kilometers Ikot Isu Otomo Azumini Road and the 1.53 kilometer international roads in Ikot Udom, Ika local government area, Minister Wike described Governor Ino as a man of exceptional humility, sincerity and honor. He urged Akwa Ibom State people to continue to live in unity and support the state government in order for development, growth and progress to thrive in the state. Earlier in his address, Governor Moino had appreciated Wike for creating time to be part of the commissioning and described him as a great son of the Niger Delta, whom the state was proud of. He noted that the presence of Wike, a stalwart of the People's Democratic Party alongside other members of the party to commission a road project done by a state controlled by the All Progressives Congress underscores the spirit of unity prevalent in the state. Governor Ino highlighted the newly commissioned 15.8 kilometers road and opens Ika to commercial opportunities as it provides a seamless link to the commercial nerve of the southeast, Aba, in Abia State. Government House correspondent Jane Uwa reports that on their parts, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Obongemem Ekperikpe Ekbo, and the former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Iwemedimo Nwoko, eulogized Governor Ino for giving the people of the area a sense of belonging through the provision of modern access roads. Meanwhile, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino has commended all past leaders of the state for their remarkable contributions to its consistent development. Speaking at a special banquet to mark the 38th anniversary of the state creation, Governor Oino said, 38 years down the line, the state has metamorphosed from a seemingly obscure area to a destination of choice. He noted that the current state of development would not have been possible without the efforts of all of its past leaders, stressing that God has blessed the state with great and progressive-minded leaders. The governor also appreciated Akwa Ibom stakeholders and indeed all its citizenry for their love and commitment to the Akwa Ibom project. Earlier in his remarks, the first military administrator of the state, retired Colonel Tunde Ogbeha, expressed delight over the commendable pace of development of a state he nurtured at birth in 1987 and described the state as a benchmark of progress and development in Nigeria. Earlier in his tone setting, the Secretary to the State Government, Prince Enobong Uwa, appreciated the governor for holding the state firmly on the path of sustainable growth and thanked Akwa Ibom people for supporting the vision of the governor and encouraging peace and development, which according to him, his distinguished state amongst its contemporaries.
Dear ancestors, one of the real ancestors who started on the 23rd of September 1987, may welcome Colonel, as he then was, Tunde Ogbeha, and wife, the first military administrator of Akwa Ibom State. We celebrate it today. And no wonder God himself honored you by giving you a wife whose birthday is today. So we celebrate Madame, and at the end of this, we'll sing her a happy birthday song. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, all our past leaders, for the work you did, your labor. Like I said on Sunday, your labor will never be in vain. We're building block upon block, precept upon precept. Let me thank all of us in this room tonight for the unity, solidarity that we all bring together.
And in the meantime, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has urged the newly elected leadership of the state chapter of National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN, to synergize with his administration and eschew parochial sentiment in order to advance the Arise agenda. Speaking while receiving the new youth leaders, the youth-loving governor said he was very particular about the youth development, hence his administration's decision to create a separate ministry for youth development. He urged the council chairman to strive to leave positive footprints. The governor, who was very emphatic about his commitment to peace and unity of the state, cautioned them to avoid being used by anyone to foment trouble, as such would not be tolerated. He advised that, irrespective of anyone who sponsored their elections, their utmost interest and commitment should be to the state. He commended the Commissioner for Youth Development, Dr. Ekerete Ekanem, and the Electoral Board for the successful conduct of the election, and urged the Commissioner to recognize them and work with them for the good of the state. Earlier, Dr. Ekanem, while appreciating Governor Omoino, said it was 2 years since the resolution of the immediate past Executive Council of the body adding that the chapter has successfully elected new members to pilot their affairs. In his brief remark, the state chairman of the NYCN, Emmanuel Uko Ekong, appreciated the governor and members of the group for the opportunity to serve and assured that the executive under his leadership will collaborate and synergize with all relevant stakeholders to develop the youth and advance the Arise agenda of the state government. And now to Africa, where a new constitution in Guinea that could permit junta leader Mamadi Doumbouya to run for office has been backed by 89% of voters. The Territorial Administration Minister Ibrahima Koundé announced that 89.38% of voters backed the proposed constitution, with a turnout of 86.42% from the 6.7 million registered voters. The new charter replaces the transitional framework that had barred members of the ruling junta from contesting elections, opening the door for Doumbouya's candidacy in the upcoming presidential vote expected in December 2025. The new constitution also introduces institutional changes such as longer presidential terms from 5 years to 7, renewable once, and a new Senate. And on the foreign scene, Taiwan's fire department today revised down to 14 the death toll from a typhoon this week on its remote east coast as rescuers continue to search for 33 people still missing amid thick black mud and scenes of devastation. The death happened after Super Typhoon Ragasa's outer bands brought heavy rain to the Hualien County, causing a barrier lake in the mountains to overflow and unleash a wall of water onto the small town of Guanfu. Having said that the previous day that 17 people had died, the fire department adjusted that to 14, saying some casualties have been counted twice. It put the new number of missing at 33, a figure that had hit 152 on Wednesday as government searches for people reported out of contact. Meanwhile, in downtown Guanfu, residents and rescuers, including soldiers, used shovels, buckets and diggers to remove the mud and stones carried by the floodwaters. And still on the foreign scene, Colombia's President Gustavo Petro told newsmen in an interview that U.S. airstrikes on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean Sea are an act of tyranny. He also called for criminal proceedings against U.S. officials if investigations find Colombians were killed in the attack. According to him, President Donald Trump has cast the strikes, which have reportedly killed 17 since they began this month, as needed to stop the flow of fentanyl and other illegal narcotics into the U.S. Speaking to newsmen, Petro said there should be zero death in stopping speedboats believed to be involved in drug smuggling. And still to come in the news. Dabiri Erewa hails Nigerian Olofioye's induction into Canadian Football Hall of Fame. Stay tuned for details of this in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned, and now we go over to the rest of the news stories. On our business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has raised an alarm that the abuse and poor handling of Naira banknotes are significantly increasing the cost of printing and replacing them. The warning came during the launch of a nationwide sensitization campaign on proper Naira handling held in Abuja. Delivering a keynote address, the Deputy Governor Operations Directorate, Dr. Bala Bello, represented by the Director of Currency Operations and Branch Management Department, Dr. Adedeji Adetona, stressed that the Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. He cautioned that unless corrective actions is taken, Nigerians will continue to bear the financial consequences. In health, the National Agency for Food, Drug